It's a Sunday afternoon, around 4. Nothing is wrong, that's the strange part. No crisis, no deadline breathing on your neck, nobody angry with you. The flat is warm, there's food in the fridge, you have, by every measure you'd list if someone asked, a good life. And you cannot sit in it. You get up, you check the phone you checked 90 seconds ago. You open the fridge and look at food you don't want. You think about going out, and the thought of going out exhausts you, so you think about staying in, and the thought of staying in makes your skin itch. You consider messaging someone, then imagine the conversation and lose interest before you've typed a word. You're not sad, you're not anxious, there's no name for it. There is, actually, it's about 1700 years old. In the 4th century, a stretch of desert in Egypt filled up with people who had walked away from the cities to live alone. They weren't running from anything as simple as temptation. They'd made a bet that if you strip a human being of every distraction, every ambition, every reason to perform, whatever is left is the truth about that person. So they went out into a landscape that offered nothing, and sat in small stone rooms and waited to meet themselves. What they met was worth writing down. One of them, a sharp and unsentimental man named Evagrius, produced something close to a field guide. He catalogued 8 patterns of thought that reliably came for a person in solitude, and one of them he singled out as the heaviest of the lot. He called it acedia. It's usually translated as sloth, which is a translation so bad it's almost a lie. Sloth suggests laziness, and this is not laziness. Evagrius described it as a kind of siege. He noticed it arrived at a specific time, late morning into afternoon, when the day is long and the light doesn't move, and he gave it a name that has survived everything since: the noonday demon. Here's what he said it does. It makes the hours feel like they've stopped. It makes the room you're in unbearable and every other room desirable. It tells you the problem is your circumstances, your location, your work, the people around you, and it makes leaving feel not like an escape but like an obvious, sensible correction. It doesn't attack you with despair. It attacks you with restlessness dressed as reason. And critically, it comes when nothing is wrong. It doesn't need a wound to work with. That's what makes it so difficult to argue with. If you were grieving, you'd know what you were doing. If you were afraid, you could name the thing. Acedia has no content. It's a state that wants to be an emotion but never quite becomes one. Now look at your Sunday. You open an app not because you want anything in it, but because the room got too quiet. You start planning a move, a new job, a different city, not out of ambition, but because here has become intolerable in a way you can't explain. You reorganize a shelf at 11 at night. You look for a feeling and settle for a sensation. The desert monks would have recognized every part of this. They'd also have told you something you won't like. Don't move. There's a line attributed to a monk called Abimoses, given as advice to a younger man who'd come asking how to live. Go, sit in your cell and your cell will teach you everything. Not, your cell will comfort you. Not, your cell will be pleasant. It will teach you, and the teaching was understood to be uncomfortable because what the room actually does is take away every way you have of not being here. The logic underneath it is worth sitting with. If restlessness tells you the problem is the room and you leave the room, you have just confirmed to yourself that the restlessness was right. You've obeyed it. And it will be back in the next room faster, with more authority, because it's learned that you move when it speaks. If you stay, and this is the whole discipline in one sentence, you get to find out that the feeling is survivable and that it lies. It rises. It insists. And if you don't act on it, it eventually gets bored and goes, and you're left sitting in a room that was fine the entire time. They weren't chasing calm for what it's worth. What those men and women in the desert were reaching for was something much larger and explicitly religious, and you don't have to share the destination to use what they found on the road. What they found was this: a person who cannot sit still is not free. Whatever they think they're choosing, they're being driven. So the next time it's 4 in the afternoon and nothing is wrong and you can't stand it, try noticing that the urge to leave the room has arrived before any reason to. That gap between the urge and the reason is the only real estate you own. Stay in it a while.